Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, Jazakumullahu khairan. Today is an optional class, part of the 13 weeks. It's part of the 13 weeks. But, if people are on top of it, then they don't need to join. This is just a recap class. We're going to recap lessons 1 to 8, inshallah. So if you have any questions along the way, then, just ask them. Okay, so lesson 1. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I've cut out the, introduction slides and things. I've just left it down to the lesson. I'll go over many slides, but the sort of important ones, we'll stop on them, inshallah. So we started off by saying that this is just some Arabic terminology, that there are 3 types of, words can be classed as 3 types. One, ism, which is noun. The other one is fi'l, which is verbs. And the other ones are harf, particles, things like this. These are examples. And we mentioned that the default ending for singular nouns is always dhamma, dhammatain. Yeah, do pesh, 2 pesh. Yeah, so you can see that kitabun, rajulun, qalamun, filun, baqaratun. These are all nouns. A way you can tell a word is a noun is if it has a double ending. So if it ends in double dhamma or double fatha or double kasra, then it is classed as an ism, it's a noun. You won't get a verb ending in a double. Look at the verbs. You won't get the verb ending in a double. And also another way to tell is if it ends in a kasra, it's also an ism. If it ends in a kasra, it is also an ism. It's also a noun. You don't get verbs ending in kasras, zair. You don't get particles, harf, ending in kasra. So the default ending is a double dhamma, kitabun, masjidun, qalamun, etc. Okay. If I see any questions, then I'll stop and try to answer, inshallah. So then we just did some examples. So here we see hadha means this. So in a sentence, you're going to say this is, right? So hadha kitabun means this is a book. Dhalika kitabun, that is a book. Huwa kitabun is it is a book. Okay. A question? If you look at a sentence, if you're looking at a sentence, is there a way to tell the words apart? Can there sometimes be gaps in the middle of a word? Okay, so normally you can tell the word apart when there's a slightly big gap between the words. Sometimes in the Quran it's written all tight. Sometimes it's difficult to tell. Sometimes it might be written tight, like ending the verse at the end of the page and it's all a bit tighter. So the gaps between the words might be really small, but generally the words have, a little gap between them. And as you get more familiar with the words, you will know hadha, there's nothing, there's not many words that attach onto hadha to make another word, right? You get, you get 1 or 2, but you get a few, but you'll recognize the words, and inshallah that way you'll better understand. But usually, yeah, there is a slight gap between each word. Will you be giving these slides? Yes, inshallah. At the end of the course, I'll be giving you these slides, PPTX PowerPoint slides, inshallah. So then the aim is so you take them and then you teach them. You teach them to your family, you teach them to yourself, go over it again, and then teach it, to the people. Yeah, so I hope that's what happens when I give you the slides, inshallah. Right, okay, next one, barakallahu feek. Right, so this was just an example of words linking together to make a little sentence. And then we talked about the different categories of words. So we talked about Arabic being a language that has gender. So some things are male, some things are female, masculine and feminine. You get the same in French. You get masculine words, you get feminine words. You get the same in Urdu, masculine and feminine. Some things are masculine, some things are feminine. So you will say he, to, something. You'll say her to a car is her, right? English doesn't have this gender. English, you will just say it for everything. It doesn't have masculine and feminine, right? But if you know another language apart from English, then you'll, if you know Urdu or French, and there's others as well, then you'll appreciate or you understand what I'm meaning, right? So how can you tell in Arabic if a word is masculine or feminine? So this just helps in our understanding. The thing that the Quran already has the terminologies linked up and already written. So you don't have to make up a sentence. If you had to make a new sentence yourself, then you would need to know which word is masculine and feminine. In the Quran, they're already written, but it's to give you some appreciation of what's going on. Why is it sometimes saying hadha? Why is it sometimes saying dhalika? What's going on, right? So the way you can tell a word is feminine, there's 4 ways in this course. There are others, but let's just concentrate on these 4 big ones. So one of the ways is, and the main way, is when the word has a ta marbuta at the end. Ta marbuta, as far as I remember, it means tied, right? So what happens is, look at your ta is like this normally, okay? Yeah? Alif ba ta is like this. What's with the 2 dots? Imagine my eyes are the 2 dots, right? Now what happens is it gets tied up and it becomes closed, right? It becomes closed. So it's marbuta now, it's tied up, right? And the 2 dots come on top. So that ta, this one you can see here, I'm pointing at it, that is the ta marbuta. When that comes at the end of a word, the word is feminine. And when the ta marbuta joins onto the previous letter, then it looks like this. Ayatun, jannatun, can you see that? So jannatun is a feminine word. Ayatun is a feminine word. Salih is a boy's name. Salihah is a girl's name. The ta marbuta has come at the end. Because you stop at the ta marbuta, you make it into a ha, right? So salihah. Let me see. Jamil, jamila. Can't think of anything at the moment. Words which are the women's names that are like that. Salih, salihah, jamil, jamila. My mind's gone blank. But there's many, Halim, Halima, right? Yeah, there's plenty of them, right? So that's the first way to tell. And the main way, this is the main way. Latif, Latifa, and there's plenty of them. I just can't think of them right now. Okay, so somebody's asking, why do you not pronounce the ta at the end, right? So look at this one, jannatun. When you stop at a ta marbuta, it becomes ha. It just changes into ha. So you say jannah. Really, it's jannatun, but you stop. You say jannah. Ayatun, really, but when you stop at the end, it becomes a ha. It becomes ayah. Yeah, Hanif, Hanifa. Excellent. Yeah. So I hope you understood that. Okay. The ta marbuta, when you stop at it, when the ayah comes, for example, if there's a ta marbuta and you're stopping, then it's going to change into a ha. You're just going to say jannah, ayah, right? So that's ta marbuta. That's the main giveaway that a word is feminine, if it's got a ta marbuta at the end. Is that if it's just at the end of a sentence? Yes, it's only not just end of a sentence, and where you're stopping, when you're stopping. So like a little jim there, or if there's a waqfa lazim, yeah, if there's any stopping, then it becomes a ha, whether it's at the end of a sentence or you're stopping in the middle of a sentence due to a stopping sign, for example. Right? So ta marbuta, the word is feminine. If the word, so number 2, if the word itself is a woman. So ummun means mother. Bintun means daughter. So any word, it doesn't have to have a ta marbuta. Any word that is a woman in itself, grandmother, wife, auntie, these are all feminine words as well. The next one is a body part that comes in pairs. So a body part that comes in 2s, right? Kidneys, ears, eyes, hands, feet, legs, they are all feminine. That's the third way you can tell a word is feminine. And then the last way you can tell, in this course, we're just doing these four main ones. There are others as well, but take these as like the big chunk. The biggest one is this, ta marbuta, it's woman. If it's a woman itself, it's a woman. Body parts that come in pairs, it's a woman, meaning, yeah. And the last one is some words were known by the Arabs to be feminine. They're just always being referred to as feminine. There's always just been known to be feminine words. They're historically feminine because the Arabs said so, right? So an example of them are al-ardu, shamsun, sama'un, jahannamu, sabilun, nafsun. These are feminine, historically feminine. So when you see a word being referred to in the Quran with feminine terminology, you'll know why, because the word is feminine. And how can you tell if a word is masculine? It's anything else. So anything that doesn't have a ta marbuta at the end, if it's not a woman, if it's not a body part that come in pairs, and if it's not one of those historical words. There's not many historical words. I think somebody posted a poem on the chat. If somebody could dig that out and repost it, it's a poem, or it's like a little sentence, and it contains maybe most, maybe all of the historically feminine words. There's not a lot, there's only a few. Okay, happy to go? Happy to continue? Okay. So this was the table we had to learn. This is how you say this is, هذا. If you're talking about something masculine, هذا. If you're talking about something feminine, then it's going to be هذه. So if the Quran talks about something feminine, it's going to use هذه. If it talks about something masculine, it's going to be هذا. So you have to learn هذا and هذه, masculine, feminine. Then you're talking about something far away, ذلك, if it's masculine, تلك, if it's feminine. So هذا, هذه go together, ذلك, تلك go together, and then you have هو and here. Huwa means it is, or it could mean he is, depending on what is being spoken about. And here the same, but for feminine. So we had this table to learn, and these were examples. So hadha kitabun. You're not going to say hadhihi kitabun, because kitabun is a male, it's masculine. Again, dhalika kitabun and huwa kitabun. Right? This is already, it's already written down in the Quran. So if you see hadhihi jahannamu, you're going to know hadhihi means this is, and jahannam is jahannam. And you'll now know why it says hadhihi and not hadha, because jahannam is historically feminine. And hadhihi jahannam comes in the Quran as well. So hadhihi shajaratun, because it's got a ta marbuta, a tree is feminine. Tilka shajaratun, you wouldn't say dhalika shajaratun, because dhalika is for masculine words. Here we're dealing with a feminine word, so it's going to be tilka shajaratun. And here shajaratun. Here is going to translate as it is, because shajaratun is inanimate. If it was saying here ummun, yeah, then you would say she is a woman, because it's talking about a woman. Then you're not going to say it is anymore, you're going to say she. So it'll be it or she, depending on what is being spoken about. Same with huwa. Happy to move on? I just need one yes, that's fine, right? Okay, done. Right. And these are the sort of amount of times that I could find this word occurring in the Quran, right? The masculines are more than the feminine. Can anybody remember why the masculines occur more in the Quran than the feminines? Masculine, good, right? So masculine, right? Just general terminology. Whenever, okay, this is for nouns, but general terminology, you're going to see many more masculines than feminines in the Quran, because the masculine terminology is used for mixed groups as well. Many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing, most of the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing male and female, right? So male and female, when they are addressed, the masculine terminology is used. So women alone, it's just going to be the women terminology. As soon as one man comes in that group, now it becomes a mixed group. So the masculine terminology is used for male men, for mixed groups. That's why Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, or you who disbelieve, yeah, say or you who disbelieve, right? Or you got, like, for example, so in that example, kafirun, it's mixed, but kafirun is male terminology. It's a male plural, right? Just see. Excellent, excellent. If talib is a male student, how to talibatun? Talibatun, as far as I know, you have just put the ta marbuta on the end, and like, for example, mu'minun is a believer, mu'minatun is a female believer. Okay, I won't worry too much about this, but okay, this is just saying that the adjective agrees with the noun. So you see here the adjectives. So in Arabic, you don't say, in English, you say the big house, but in Arabic, you say the house big. You say the actual noun first, and then you say its description. So Qur'anun Karimun, a noble Quran. You'll say noble Quran first, because that's how you say it in English. But really, it's saying Quran first in Arabic, and then it's saying its description afterwards. And what it's saying is, if the Quran, if the noun is singular, then the description is also going to be in its singular form. If the noun ends in double dhamma, then the adjective, its description word, is also going to end in double ending. If the noun is masculine, then the adjective is also going to be in masculine form. It's already written in the Quran. So if you don't understand that, or you think it's difficult, it doesn't matter, because it's already written in the Quran. The vowels are already written, the words are already chosen, they're already written. Again, ilahun wahidun, same thing. So that's all that was explaining. And then we went through some verses showing, what we've learned. Hadha, this is. Huwa, it is. Huwa, again, it is. Hadha, this is. Right, so we did the test, and we've, if you're struggling, the recordings are all there. You can just go over them again. And at the end, inshallah, I'll make a playlist of all the whole class. So you just click on the playlist, and it gives you all the lessons in order, with the revision in order, and with anything else that is there. Inshallah. Right, so we just went over these. I'm not going to go over these because we've done that. Okay, these are the words we had to learn for week 1. That was the homework. Lesson 2. Right, lesson 2. We'll have our usual break, inshallah, about an hour when we hit the hour. Right, lesson 2. Yes. Happy? Okay, cool. And then, so lesson 2, we started off with explaining what is grammar. What is the grammar? So the grammar, when we say the Quran has grammar, is talking about the ending. And the basic definition is talking about the way the words end. Is it Allahu? Is it Allaha? Or is it Allahi? So there's some grammar rule that's causing that to become Allaha, because Allah is a noun. And remember what I said about nouns, right? Generally, just general nouns. I'm not talking about Allah here, but general nouns, they all end in double dhamma. And they will change if the grammar rules, say that you got to change it, right? And we learned a bit of that. So the ending here, this word ending is mushrikina. This is some grammar rule going on here, right? Etc. So I mentioned that grammar wasn't written down in the time. These fatha, dhamma, kasras, and even the dots, they weren't even there at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The time of Sahaba, later on, these dots came and the vowels came because people started reading the Quran wrong. So they needed to write the rules down so people knew what rules there were so they could read it correctly, right? And for us, we don't even know those grammar rules, so we need the vowels and the dots in there, otherwise we won't be able to read Quran, right? So I mentioned that this one here, وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودُ جَالُوتَ. It means Dawood killed Jalut. If you were to get this Dhamma and put it on Jalut and put the Fatha onto Dawood, so if you were to say وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودَ جَالُوتُ, that would now mean that Jalut killed Dawood, right? So just a little vowel change, a little vowel swap can change the meaning completely, right? So in order to be able to understand what is going on, because we will not be able to understand many sentences of the Quran if we don't learn a basic grammar rule. So in order to learn that grammar rule, we had to learn this. So in Arabic, words have three cases. Does the doer always come first in the ayah? Not usually, no. Right, not usually. But we'll come on to that. Maybe we can answer that later on, inshallah. Okay, so words come in three cases, right? You have words that are ending in double dhamma or single dhamma. So any singular word that ends in a double dhamma or a single dhamma, a double pesh or a single pesh, the case of that word is described as marfu. So masjidun is marfu, kitabun is marfu, al-kitabu, that is also marfu. It's just a case. Imagine marfu being like, house in a sentence, but it's in capitals. And then mansub, right, is when a singular word singular noun ends in a double fatha or a single fatha, a two zabar or single zabar. If a singular noun ends in that, then the case for that noun, the case that it's in is mansub. So imagine in a sentence, a marfu word is, for example, house, it's in capitals. Mansub means the same thing, but it looks different. It's doing something different sometimes. So maybe it's in underline. It's still house, but it's not capital anymore, it's underline. And then a singular word in Arabic that ends in a double kasra or a single kasra, it ends in two zair or one zair. That is described as having the case of majroor. So that's a majroor word. And in English, in that English example, call it like italics, for example, meaning it's the same word, it means the same thing, but it's doing something different. It's got some different implication in the sentence, possibly. Right, so we had to learn the cases of singular words. Marfu, mansub, majroor, and there was some funny ways of remembering it. Interesting ways of remembering it. So they were shared on the group. So that was that. And then also explain this. A word, kitabun, look at these words, they mean a book. Rajulan means a man. Yawmin means a day. When you stick an alif lam in front of the noun, it changes the meaning to the tree, the book. Can you see? So over here, you see rajulan, aman, it becomes ar-rajula. The alif and the lam comes in front, and the alif and the lam basically means the. Right? And we also mentioned that, look, kitabun, a double ending there, right? When the al comes and attaches onto the word, it forces the double ending to become single ending. And that's what you call a grammar rule, maybe the most basic grammar rule, that when al comes and attaches in front of a noun, then the double ending becomes single ending. So it's as though you add some ink here, you've got to take off some ink on that side to balance it. Rajulan becomes ar-rajula. The alif lam now forces the double ending here to become single ending. Yawmin, ahde. You can tell it's ah because there's no al. If there's no al, it means ah. So ahde. When you stick a al on it, it makes it the. So al-yawmi is the day. And you add some ink here. So you take some ink off here. You take the double off and make it single. If you were to say al-yawmin, then the person knows what you're saying, but you're saying it wrong. He knows you made a mistake in the grammar. You've broken the rule of grammar. Like in English, it might be that you're saying a sentence and then you just use a capital letter in the middle of a sentence when it doesn't need it. Doesn't change the meaning, but you've done something wrong. You've broken one of the rules of grammar, right? So it's like that. So adding al makes it the, and the double ending becomes single ending. So the case of these top words is marfu. Remember, ending in double or single dhamma, these are described as marfu. These are all marfu words. These over here are all mansub words. And the ones over here are all majroor words. Okay? And kitabun and kitaban and kitabin, they mean the same thing, a book, but they're differing, they have different grammar. Some of, the grammar is different, but the meaning of the literal meaning of the word is still the same. The case doesn't change the meaning of the word. The case just happens to comply with the rules of grammar. Okay? Half an hour done. Might have to speed up a bit. Only done 2 lessons. So then we did these examples, kitabun, indefinite, marfu, just to give, practice. Mansub word. This is a majroor word. This is mansub word. Okay. Marfu again. Majroor. Majroor again. So these were just examples, getting you used to some words and just getting you used to the cases, because you need the case later on. So we've done this slide. So look, marfu, description of a marfu noun. Marfu, description of a marfu noun. If this noun was majroor, then this would also be majroor. If this was mansub, then its description would be mansub. Right? And then we did the verses. So I'm not going to do the verses now. If you want to hear the verses, just go to the lesson, end of the particular lesson, and we've gone over them there. I've left some extra verses in. Every lesson I don't complete all the verses, we don't have the time, but I've left them in there so you can, use what you've learned and then see if you can apply that rule in these verses. And this was the word list we had to learn for, vocabulary list we had to learn for lesson 2. That was the homework. All done. Lesson 3. Happy to move on to lesson 3? Good. You're ready with that. You're ready with that emoji, I think. As soon as I said it, bang on. Right. Lesson 3. Plurals. So you might remember this one. So we were doing plurals, yeah? So Muslim and an S makes Muslims, right? So this is just a bit of a little joke. Right, so Muslimun with a sin, do you reckon that's going to make plural? Remember what the answer was? The answer was you wish. Right, so Arabic is more powerful. It's very powerful. Arabic has 3 So it has three, it has singular, it has dual, and it has plural. So there's a word for singular, a Muslim. There's a separate word for two Muslims. And then there's a separate word for three or more Muslims. So whenever you say plural in Arabic, it doesn't mean two or more. It means three or more. There's actually a specific word for two, right? فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فبأي آلاء ربكما فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. Which of the favors of your Lord will تكذبان? What's an? An is dual. Which of the favors of your Lord will you two deny? That's what it means. Yeah? Which of the favors of your Lord will you two deny? So the scholars say, who are the two that it's been talking about, because it's dual. So although it's a verb, not a noun, but it's still, the ani is dual, even in verbs, right? So tukadhiban, the scholars say it's talking about the humankind, good, and jinn kind. So which of the favors of your Lord will you both deny, right? So it's talking about two. Ayatun, ayatani, ayatun. Rajulun, rajulani, rijalun. These are just examples, right? So we talked about there's a separate word for dual, there's a separate word for plural. And then we talked, so we'll do the table, inshallah, later, but we also talked about this one. In Arabic, you have three types of plural. Three types of plural. One is called sound masculine plural. The other one is called sound feminine plural. And the third one is called broken plural. So the sound masculine, why is it masculine? Because the word is masculine. The singular word is masculine. Here it's sound feminine because the original singular word is feminine. Okay. Why is it sound? Why is it called sound? Because in the plural form, the original word is intact. Look, Muslimun, still Muslim is there. You just added something to the end. So the original word is still intact. It's still sound. It's still intact. For the feminine is the same, meaning the tun, really the original word is Muslim, right? And that is still intact. Muslim is still there. They're still counted as a sound word. So in broken plurals, the original word was rajulun. The reason why it's called broken is because a letter has come in and broken the original word. Ra, Jim, and a lam has been broken by this alif here. Qaf, lam, and a ba has been broken by a waw coming in the middle of it, right? So it's been broken. So these are the three types of plurals in Arabic. We're not going to cover broken plurals. We just do sound feminine and sound masculine plurals. And this was the table we had to learn. So again, it was just a matter of learning. Muslimun is marfu, Musliman is mansub, Muslimin is majroor. Notice the meaning. A Muslim, a Muslim, a Muslim. Masculine. These are all, that little M there means masculine. So if you want to say two Muslims, you have to add an alif and a noon, ani. That's the template. That's the template you have to add to a singular word to make it two. So Muslimani means two Muslims, and in the marfu case. And then Muslimuna is how you make a singular word into plural in the marfu case. Una. Una makes it plural. So kafiruna is plural, many disbelievers. Zalimuna, many wrongdoers, many oppressors. Fasiquna, many like sinners. Sadiquna, many truthful people. Yeah. Muslimuna, many Muslims. Okay. And then when it comes to mansub and majroor, The dual is aini. Aini. You add an aini at the end, and that is a dual way of saying it in mansub or majroor. They're both the same. That's the easy thing. They're both the same. And here, ina is a plural way of saying the same thing, but in the mansub case or the majroor case. Right? Will there be an optional final exam for all chapters at the end of the course? No, there's no optional final exam. I think the final exam is just sorry, the exam is just after each lesson. Maybe in the future I can make an exam right at the end for those who want to do it, inshallah. At the moment, there's anything like that. Interesting though, it's an interesting idea. Right, so this is the table. We just have to learn it. And you have to get your head around the fact that there's 3 ways of saying the same thing in Arabic, because there's 3 cases. Right, sometimes it's going to be in marfu, sometimes it's going to be in mansub, sometimes it's going to be in majroor. And then what I said is, right, what I said, then this is a table for the feminine words. Right, feminine words. So the ani is there in feminine, the aini is there in feminine, same as masculine. Look at the duals. The dual ending template is the same for masculine and feminine, right? And then for feminine, the plural is atun for marfu and atin for the other. So atun and atin are the plural for feminine words, sound feminine words, and atun, atin. And ani and aini is the ending for dual. So we did this. And we have to learn these cases because of lesson 5 or lesson 6, you can't translate a sentence if you don't know. You can't translate many sentences if you don't know this concept of cases. You add with nominative always alif or the duals in marfu. That's right. Yeah. So somebody's just asking that, do you add ani for dual marfu? Yes. Look, muslimatani, muslimani. So ani is a sign of marfu. It is the marfu ending for duals. And the marfu ending for plurals is una or atun. Una or atun. Right? So we just have to learn this table. And I'm hoping, if you haven't learned it now, by now, hoping you can use this lesson to get it in your mind again. And this slide just summarizes the main point. Remember this for the whole course. Duals do not appear so much in the Quran. Duals appear very little in the Quran compared to the plurals. So if you're struggling, just imagine all the dual columns you see, just delete them. Just put a line or just cover them with something. If you're struggling, forget the duals in all the tables. Just go for the singular and the plurals. So I just summarized the most important things from those previous tables, and that is the plurals. Right? We've already done the singulars, and now we learn the plurals. Whenever you get an una or an ina ending, most likely it's going to be plural, right? Kafiruna, kafirina, sadiquna, sadiqina, hafizuna, hafidina, right? These are all plural endings. And for feminine words, atun or atin, one of them. Sadiqatun, hafizatun, abidatun, kafiratun. So this is the summary. This is a sort of, and the main one, if you're going to say which one are the main one from these, I'd say the male, masculine. But the feminine are there too. The feminine are there too. Okay, so this is a table, this is a good slide to remember. Una or ina is plural. Atun or atin ending is plural too. Right. And then we just did examples too. So we'll just I'm just going to go through these quick because we've done all these examples. And this was a verse that, okay, look, Muslimina, innal Muslimina, billahi minash shaitanir rajim, innal Muslimina, ina, okay, it's plural, Muslims. Yes, it's either going to, if you look at that word, you know it's not marfu, it's either mansub or majroor because ina ending is that, yeah? Right, it is actually mansub because I know the rule. This one is a mansubifying word. If this word comes in front of a noun, it makes that noun mansub, right? So anyway, Muslimina, many Muslims, indeed, yeah? What does it say here in the translation? Surely, right? So surely, the Muslim men and Muslim women and believing, the believing men, believing unbelieving women, and devout men and devout women, and truthful men and truthful women. So can you see that ina is mentioned here and ati is mentioned here as well, right? So this is just an example of what we learned. So if you see an una or an ina, it's normally talking about everybody. The way you can tell it's only talking about men is if afterwards the women version is mentioned. So if I just said innal muslimina, indeed the Muslims, and that can include anybody, men and women, you know, it's everybody. But when you see a word after it is saying and the Muslim women, then you know this one is specifically only men. That's why we know this is specifically only men, because the next word is specifying only women. So if that's only women, then this is now only men, right? But if this distinction isn't made, like Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, for example, right? Let's include everybody. Right? So we did that. Did verses. Lesson 4. Nearly halfway. We've done 40 minutes. Yeah. So I think we. Right. Lesson 4. Happy? Okay, good. Right. We did this then. Separate pronouns. So a pronoun is a word that is used to refer to a noun, but you don't use the noun. So you want to say car or you want to say house. Well, you're not going to say car or house. You're going to say it. Are you going to say those? Are you going to say, you know, so you're going to say them, or you're going to say you all, or you, or I, right? So these are pronouns and they're separate, meaning they occur just like they are, right? Huwa, like qul huwa Allahu ahad. Qul huwa, qul huwa, qul huwa Allahu ahad, right? So it's just a matter of learning these. And I said, if you can't, you're struggling, delete the duals. Look how many times the duals come in the Quran. These are rough figures, right? According to my search, right? Tanzil.net is a good way to search. There's also, you know, another resource. So you can see the duals don't come up that much, but look at the others, and especially the masculine, right? 265, 47, 261, you know, with 7. Can you see the difference? Masculine, 130, and there's maybe no Antunna in the Quran, right? But the reason why I put it is learn the whole table. This is all the pronouns. If you struggle, drop off the duals. But I find it easier. Huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu, nahnu. And there's like a song on YouTube as well, or like a rhyme where he does this, right? And it helps actually doing it with the duals. But if you can't struggle, if you're struggling with the duals, drop the duals. And the other thing was, if you're struggling further, drop all the feminines, right? That's if you're struggling really further, right? Drop all the feminines and drop all the duals, right? So it was just a matter of learning. So if you learn plural and singular, wouldn't that mean anything else? So if you learn plural and singular, wouldn't that mean anything else would be dual? Maybe. Yeah, but yeah, if you maybe, I don't know. You know, I don't know what else there is, you know, in the Quran to give you a definitive answer on that. But yeah, if you learn the singulars and learn the plurals, and you see one that's not matching them, maybe it is a dual. because these are all the pronouns, so maybe it is a dual. Yeah. Ah, yes, one important thing, look at all the third persons. Yeah, when you're talking about somebody who's not here, third person, they all start off with ha. Second person all start off with the alif, and even the first person here. Right, so that's one way to know. If you see a huma, hum, hunna, it's talking third person. You just got to know which one it is, but it's talking third person. And if you see anta, antuma, antunna, anti, you know it's talking second person. So again, it's just practice, practice, and practice. Yeah. And this is in colorful one, you know, the men, the masculine being blue and the feminine being pink. You know, you might like it like that. And these are mixed because ana is me, whether you're masculine or feminine, and same with nahnu. Nahnu is the same as well, from both male and female. And look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. So it shows which one are the important ones. Right? So again, huwa, muslimun. So we went through these. Huma muslimani, hum muslimuna. We did these, and just want to show you a few that are in the Quran as well. So actually that's in the Quran. I put a reference. Okay, that's in the Quran. Qul huwa Allah. Yeah, He is Allah. So we had this from the Quran. We had this from the Quran. We had this from the Quran. Also this. So we've done these examples. So I'm not going to go over these again. Ana. Well, we've got an Ana in there. Ana means I. So I am Yusuf. Ana Yusuf. Yeah, and there's nahnu. You know, these words. This is showing you that these words come in the Quran. Right. So look, wahua, hum. The reason why that is humu is because you got an alam with a sukoon on there, yeah, a jazm sukoon, and this one would have a jazm sukoon on there as well. And you can't have two sukoons together in Arabic, so something has to happen. So in this case, the meme gets a dhamma, but it still is hum. But you're now going to say humul mu'minuna. Look, hum is a masculine terminology. This is a masculine plural, right? It's matching. So again, these were the verses we did. So lesson 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've done 4 lessons. I think we're halfway through. So we can have a 10-minute break. Is that all right? We all come back. Do you want a 10-minute break today? Or do you want to continue? There you go. Continue. Break. Continue. Need a break. Yeah, all right, okay. 10 minutes, please. All right. Yeah. Okay, we'll have a 10-minute break. Yeah. Have a 10-minute break because there's people who even maybe need to do salah as well. So 10-minute break, 8:20 now, so call it 8:30. Yeah, so 8:30, we'll restart, inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Got 1 hour left to cover lessons 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4 lessons, right? So let's start. So this was the most, in my opinion, the most important table. Right? They're all important, but this one, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't know this table, right? This is the table of the attached pronouns. So basically, these words that you see in the tables, they attach to the end of a noun. So the who, for example, will be kitabu hu. So kitab means book and who is his. So his book, kitabu hu. Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. May Allah be pleased with him. Aisha radiyallahu anha. May Allah be pleased with her. So these are the endings that change the meaning of the word. So kitabuha is her book. Kitabuka is your book. Kitabuki is your book, feminine. Kitabi is my book. Now you can put these endings on other nouns and the same outcome will come. So masjiduhu, his masjid. Masjiduha, her masjid. Masjiduka, your masjid. Masjiduki, your masjid, feminine. Masjidi, my masjid. So it's just endings, and these endings come everywhere, everywhere. So you have to learn these endings, right? Masjiduhum, their all's masjid. Masjiduhunna, their all's masjid, women. Masjidukum, your all's masjid. Masjidukunna, your all's masjid, but women only. Masjiduna, our masjid. We say assalamu alaykum. Alay means on, kum means you all. When we say salam, we're saying assalamu alaykum. We're saying salam on you all. That's what we're really saying. We're saying this one here. Yeah. So what is going on? They say you're salaming the angels too. You're not salaming one person, you're salaming the angels too. When we say jazakallah khair, we are saying may Allah reward you, male. Jazakallah khair. For a sister, really, it's going to be jazakillah khair. Right? And when he's talking about all of you, jazakumullahu khairan. Yeah, they're going to say jazakum. May Allah reward all them, jazahumullahu khairan. Right? This is what links into our daily life. When we say things, this is what's going on. Right? So yeah, for a sister, it's really jazakillah khair. Now, somebody will say, well, should we not say jazakallah khair? What happens is when we say jazakallah khair, maybe what we're doing is we're saying jazak. We stop there. And we can stop at a ka or a ki. We said jazak Allah khair. Right? Now that, makes it neutral. Right? Whether it's the correct way of doing it, whether we should do that, I'm not saying, but I'm saying, jazakallah khair really is male. And jazakillah khair is for feminine. Anyway, so this was the table, super important table. I just showed that these two are the same. Kuma there is the same. You can learn this table as well. Hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kum, ki, kuma, kunna, I, na. And look at the numbers, the endings, the words that this hum comes attached to, 3,500 over. This one, 3,000, right? So like 100 in a juz. Why many? Yeah, why? Because any word that has a who or a he on the end, I've added it in, right? So, for example, bi'abdihi, yeah? Any word that has a who or a he, why many? Okay, why many? All right, because I couldn't, the search that I used, it was difficult to tell, right? It was difficult to tell which one. It'd take a long time, so I couldn't do that. So I just wrote many. I couldn't figure out the number on that. All right, but, right. Yeah. And the sort of pattern to learn here was the third person here, again, to start off with ha. And the second person start off with ka. So that was a pattern for you to sort of recognize and think about. And yeah, when you see a kuma or you see a ka or you see a kum, it's talking about you, right? Either you two, you all, you feminine, you all women, right? When it's got a ha, it's talking about them two, them all, him, her, right? So that's the trick. That's the sort of similarity that these have. That's what different ones, different versions, because some people might like this, some people might like this coloring to understand it. Some people just want it plain black, so put plain black as well. That's why in your booklet, this table comes a few times, and if you've got a black and white booklet, then you won't know what's the difference between this one, the previous table. It's just the coloring. And then we went through these examples, Kitabuhu, his book, Yeah, we've went through these examples and these are super important. So ala means on, so alayhi means on it or on him, depending on what's been talked about. Alayhim, on them. Alaykum, on you all. Right, so we did all these. Min means from. So minhu means from him or from it. Minha, from her, or from it and a feminine thing. Minhum, from them. Minkum, from you all. And you must be realizing, oh yes, I've seen these in the Quran many, many times, right? So you just have to learn the meaning of the first word and what the template means. And then you'll be able to translate words that you've never seen before. But because you know the meaning of the singular word, and because you know what the ending does, what the ending means, you'll be able to translate words that you've never seen before. Right? That's why if you learn these templates, that's the main thing. I did all these. And then I just did a verse, showed a verse, a random verse that I picked from the Quran, as far as I remember. And it shows how many times these endings come just in this verse. And I don't think it's not even a full verse, right? So minhu, minni, yat'amhu, fa'innahu, minni, biyadihi, minhu, minhum. If you don't know the endings, you ain't gonna be able to translate that verse. You don't know what's going on because you don't know. So these are the formulas, these things in the tables are the formulas that you need to be able to learn so that you can then start translating words. Fi means in. Look, 1,200 over 1,200 times fi means in. Fihi, in it. Fiha, in it or in her. Fihim, in them. So I'm going over this fast to get the course, get the revision done. But obviously, if you want to hear it all slowly, then you go to the applicable course recording. Harf jar are basically a set of words. Just a set of words, and in English you call them prepositions. So it's just a set of words, right? These are separate harf jar, separate prepositions. These are attached, they're attached onto the word itself. And then we did this. And I'll let you know what my favorite car was. A Lamborghini by miles. Forget Lamborghini, forget Ferraris and forget Bugattis, right? Lamborghini, right? So with this, I'm just showing you ala means on, fawqa means above, fi means inside, tahta means under, and baina means between. And these are all prepositions. And what prepositions do is they make the next word majroor. You don't need to know that, but I just told you for people who, interested in what's going on. So this lam means for, okay, for. When it comes in front of a noun, it keeps its kasra. Look, al-muttaqun means pious. The li means for the pious. When it attaches on, it attaches like this. Lil muttaqina, it keeps its kasra. Lil muttaqin. Yeah, it's changed from muttaqun to muttaqin because the lam is a majrurifier. The harf jar prepositions are majrurifiers. They make the next noun that they're attaching onto, or the noun that comes after it, they make it majroor, right? For the people who, want to know. So lil muttaqin means for the pious, right? Now, when you get this lam and you attach it to a pronoun, then a fatha comes. Instead of a kasra, a fatha comes. So lahum means for them, right? Most pronouns, when you put a lam, the lam of for on top of, in front of, attach it onto a pronoun, it gets a fatha on it, right? But it means the same thing. It means for. So for them. And the reason why I told you that is so you can translate these words. Lakum, for you all. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Lakum, for you all. Laka, for you. lana for us. And we'll continue doing these, and these come in the Quran. Look, they come in, right? These are the verses. That was the homework. Lesson 6. 3 lessons left, and we've got like 15 minutes each, I think, can spend on this, right? Average. Lesson 6, are we happy? Still awake? Good. Right, lesson 6. So this was now, we left noun land, and we've come to verb land. Verbs are very important in Arabic. A verb is a doing thing, right? A doing word. To walk, to play, to hit, to teach, to cry, right? What is it saying? So it's basically saying most Arabic words have 3 main letters. So most Arabic nouns, they have 3 main letters in them. And those letters are called root letters. And these are examples of those root letters joining up to make a verb. So the root letters, they are, when they're put together, they make a verb. So kataba means he wrote. That is a root word consisting of 3 root letters, kaf, ta, and a ba. Khalaqa is a root word consisting of 3 root letters, and it is a verb. They're all verbs. Ja'ala, again 3 root letters making this root word. So this is a root word, ja'ala. It means he made. And in English, we also have root words. Play is a root word. You can add things onto it to change the meaning. Player, now it's the one who does the play. Played, now it's like the play has been done. Playing, so the verb is happening now. Okay, playing. Replay, now it means the play is done again. What do you call it? Downplay, right? So it's been, there's another word. Outplay, etc. Are there a lot of root words in Arabic? Most words in Arabic. Are there a lot of root words? Of course, there's lots of root words in Arabic, and most words are derived from root words. Most words are derived from 3-lettered root words, right? So he created. This is an example of a root word, 3 letters. And you can change the root word to make new words. Yakhluqu, it means he creates. Look, the root word meant he did that thing. Now, if you add a ya on, it makes it into he creates, brings it into the present tense. Now, the one who does the verb, khaliqun, you add an alif there and you change the vowels, it makes it in that pattern, makes it into the doer of the word. We will cover that in, I think, the last lesson. Yeah, I think it's the last lesson, inshallah. Yeah. Khalaqu, when you do this to it, it makes it into plural of khalaqa, right? So these are just examples. We will cover all of them in the lessons ahead. Yeah, we'll cover them all in the lessons ahead, right? So what I wanted to show you here is, look, the 3-letter root words, they all start off with a fatha letter. So the first letter has a fatha. The last letter has a fatha. But the middle letter can be different. It's going to be different for different verbs. Most root words, middle letter has a fatha on. Second most, middle letter has a kasra, and the least root words, yeah, least amount have a dhamma in the middle, right? So sometimes you see 3 letters. If you see 3 letters and you know it's a root word, you might not be able to figure out the middle one. Kataba, katuba, or katiba. Yeah, it might be the one that sounds easier on the tongue, right? But for this one, it's kataba. For this one, it's sami'a. For this one, it's kathura. You just have to learn it when you learn the verb. So that's all this slide is showing. Don't worry too much about this, but this is just showing you maybe the common letters that are added to root words to make new words. Right? These are the common letters. This is present tense, makes it into present tense. This one makes it into present tense. This one makes it into feminine. Anyway, we do some of them, okay? And then this was the table for past verbs, the complete table. If you're struggling, drop out the dual. If you're struggling any further, drop out all the feminines. And that's what pretty much the basic course is. Drop them all out so you don't have to see a big table. Right? So look, you just, when you get kataba, you add an alif on, it becomes kataba, them two wrote. Katabu, kafaru, fasaqu, zalamu. So kafaru means they all disbelieved. Khalaqu, they all created. Ja'alu, they all made. Can you see the wow, when it's added, it's like the plural of una, but the noon isn't there, right? And alif is there instead. So you can get a root word, many three-letter root words, just stick them in there and put the template ending on, and you know the meaning of the word. So ja'ala means to make, so they all made, ja'alu. Yeah. Kafara means to disbelieve, so kafaru, they all disbelieved. Right? So it's learning this template, and again, it's just memory work. You have to go over it again. Pay more attention to the masculines because they come a lot more than the feminines. Because because when you're talking to a mixed group, and most of the time this mixed group is being mentioned, Muslims and Muslim men and women are both being mentioned. Yeah, the disbelievers, men and women, mixed group. So the masculine terminology is used, the masculine words are used for that. That's in that color if you like it. And I just mentioned there's a similarity. Look at these separate pronouns endings and look at the endings of the past tense. They're the same. Ta and ti, tuma, tuma, tum, tunna, right? They're exactly the same. So learning the tables in this order, but learning the previous lessons tables could help you learn the new ones. Right? So what else is there? Just different colors and showing you that these two are the same. And then don't take credit for this one, but this one was this way of looking at it is a sister, one of the students, she came up with this idea, so I asked her to take it. I asked if I can take it. She said yeah. So here we go. It's just another way. First person, katabtu, male and female. Katabna is plural and dual. This one is just for masculine. This one is second person, feminine. Okay, so if you like it like that and you find it easier learning it like that, then this is for you. If you think no, I prefer the table, then forget this. Just go to the table. But people did benefit. People, do like these sort of things. People have different ways of learning. So again, I just put the reds in there so you can see the template addings, and I just took them off so you can see the proper words as it is. And then we went through examples, more examples. Yeah, over here we just said, when you're talking about a male, then you're going to use the masculine verb. Yeah, ja'a means he came, and rajulun is a man. You're not going to say ja'at, she came, because you're talking about a man, right? So this is already written in these, matches are already matched in the Quran, but just so that you understand what's going on. Again, here sayyaratun is a car. Well, it's caravan in the Quran, but it's also used in modern Arabic for car. And it's feminine because it's got ta marbuta, so it's going to be ja'at, she came. Yeah, it came. Who came? The car. You're not going to say ja'a because sayyara is feminine. And then same with this one. All right, so this was the grammar rule, the super important grammar rule. So we said, look, waw means and, qatala means he killed. Qatala is a root word, and we mentioned that the root word the root words are always third person masculine in meaning. So qatala means to is the verb for to kill. So really qatala means he killed. Ja'ala means he made. Khalaqa, he created. Zalama, he oppressed. So the root word is always it's always he did, and then the meaning of the verb, right? So waqatala means and he killed, right? Someone's asking, do you have more examples for this grammar rule from the Quran? There's, I can think of another one right now. Maybe in the future I can maybe pull some more out of the Quran, right? But at the moment I've just got, I think, this one from the Quran. I've got other examples, but from the Quran. Alhamdulillah. So look, waqatala, and he killed, right? Now, who killed? Who killed? You should know the answer, right? But who killed? How do you know if Dawood did the killing or Jalut did the killing? Yeah, without looking at a translation, right? Right. So we learned that, in my view, is the most important grammar rule. Because if you get this grammar rule, if you don't even know this grammar rule, you cannot translate that sentence. You cannot translate it, right? So the rule was that the doer is the one that is marfu. So the doer of the verb is the word that is marfu, and usually comes after the verb, right? Normally the verb comes first and then the doer comes afterwards. The doer is always marfu. The doer is always marfu. The doer is always marfu. Remember, right? So in this case, Dawood is marfu. So Dawood is the one who did the killing. So when it says, and he killed, who killed? Look for the marfu word. Oh, Dawood is marfu. Dawood did the killing. And Jaluta. So Jalut didn't do the killing too, because it's not marfu. So the doer of the verb is marfu, and the thing that the verb is done to is mansub. So Jaluta means that he was killed by Dawood. Yeah, so the nominative is the subject and the object of the sentence is mansub. I can't do nominative. I get muddled up in object and subject. But if you understand the object and the subject, the subject is the doer and the object is the thing that the verb is done to. So the subject is marfu and the object is mansub, right? Hope I got that the right way around, because I get mixed up between these. So for me, it's just the doer is marfu and the thing that the verb is done to is mansub. What happens if the noun comes with a kasra? So if it comes with a kasra, it's majroor, then it's not doing the verb. We'll have to see an example. But if it's not marfu, it's not doing the verb. The object is accusative. That's right. Yeah. Right. So the doer is always marfu. The subject of the verb is always marfu. The doer is always marfu. And this is a classic case of when I was learning this rule, the teacher was saying object and subject, and I didn't know what that meant. I couldn't understand. And he just explained it as well. And I knew that this particular time, this teacher was a supply teacher, was not the normal teacher, and he was quite strict, right? So you don't want to, I was a bit worried that I'm going to ask him, sorry, I didn't understand that. He explained it just 5 minutes ago, and I didn't understand it. I had a feeling he'd kill me, right? He'd kill me if I asked him. I thought, just ask him. So this is an example of a shy student won't learn, right? I put my hand up and I said, can you explain that again, please? I was maybe daydreaming when he was explaining it to before. He understood. He maybe understood that, look, this guy didn't understand it. So I'll use different terminology. I think then he used this terminology, the doer is marfu, and I got it. And now, alhamdulillah, I understood it. So don't feel shy. If you feel shy, you're not going to learn. Just ask the question, and I won't take the mickey out of you. Good verb. Just someone asked that, could the verb be being done to the majroor word? I don't know if there's any cases like that. But as I said, the Quran is so vast, and this, when I tell you a rule, it doesn't mean that there's no exceptions. There could be exceptions in certain things, but I don't know if there's any exception to the doer is always marfu and the thing the verb is done to is mansub. Right? So again, it is so important. The doer is always marfu. If you cannot understand that, if you can't get this rule in your head, you will not be able to translate literal verbal sentences, right? And this is why we learned marfu, mansub, majroor for this reason. And that's the second part. So this is the full rule. The doer is always marfu, and the thing that the verb is done to is mansub. And then we did some examples. Look, the doer is, in Arabic, you call the doer the fa'il, right? If you don't remember fa'il, don't worry about it. Just the doer, remember the doer. And the maf'ul bihi is the thing that the verb is done to. If that's tricky, don't worry. Just as long as you remember the thing that the verb is done to, right? Or the object of the verb, whatever sits with you. If you want to learn maf'ul bihi, fantastic. If you can learn the Arabic, fantastic, right? So majroor is separate. Majroor is, it happens if a preceding word is a preposition. If a word comes in front of a noun and it's fi, or it's min, or it's tahta, or it's fawqa, it's one of those prepositions, then it makes the next word majroor. Does it have any immediate difference to the meaning? Many times no. Many times no. Right? So we just give this example here. The boy sat on the chair. So the verb is to sit, sat. Who is doing the verb? The boy. So the boy is marfu. What is the verb being done to? So the boy is sitting on the chair. So the chair is mansub. So I give this sort of a pseudo English example so that you can, see what's going on, understand what's going on. The dog jumped. So jumped is the verb. Who's doing the jumping? The dog. So the dog is marfu. What's being jumped over? The fence. So the fence is mansub. And then we just did more examples like that. Okay. This one, I was getting maybe a bit excited, so I came up with a longer example. Right. The man looked. Who's doing the looking? The man. Who is being looked on? Who's being looked? Where's the looking happening? The king. Not rich, but king. Right. So king is the object of the verb. So khalaqallahu al-arda. So khalaqa means he created. Who created? You have to look for the doer. So who is the doer? Allah, because Allah is marfu. So Allah created, and what's being created? The earth. Why? Because the earth is mansub. So if somebody says khalaqallahu and then al-ardu, then that means Allah and the earth is doing the creating, right? Which is absolutely incorrect, right? But that's how powerful Arabic is. And you don't have to swap the words around to change the meaning. You can just swap the vowel. The dhamma changes with the fatha and the meaning changes. You don't have to even change the order of the wording, right? So we did that. Sometimes the doer isn't mentioned. So in that case, in this, obviously we know it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the earth. But a sentence, another sentence, if it was like another sentence outside of the Quran, for example, Sami'a, for example, Sami'a, I'm just giving another example, Sami'a Sayyara, for example, right? He heard a car, right? Who heard a car? Sayyarata, you don't know. It's just somebody, right? The sentence doesn't tell you. Over here, the sentence literally over here, these two words don't tell you who's doing the creating because the marfu is not there, right? But we know he created and the earth was created because the earth is mansub, right? So he created the earth, right? The sentence there just translates as he created the earth because there's no doer mentioned. So the doer is not specifically mentioned there, right? And that was, so here what we did is Nasara, he helped. Who helped? The Muslims. Muslims are marfu. This is marfu here. Muslimuna. Remember, una is marfu. and ina is mansub majroor. Okay. So una is marfu. This is the marfu word here. Remember, muslimun, muslimani, muslimuna is marfu. So the Muslims helped. Kafirina, kafirina. Now ina ending, remember, if you go back to your table, ina is either a majroor ending or a mansub ending, right? Because this is a verbal sentence, there's no prepositions coming before it. We know this is not majroor. So this has to be mansub. And mansub is the verb is happening on the mansub. So nasara al-muslimuna, the Muslims helped. Who did they help? The kafirina. So this is what was going on there. And then we had some more examples here. We just changed. Look what we changed. We just changed. We made this one marfu now. And this one mansub. So nasara al-muslimin al-kafiruna. Now it means the disbelievers helped the Muslims. I mean, it might not be the correct way to say it, right? But I'm just showing you how you change the marfu'ness. You change whichever one you change to marfu', that becomes the doer. And then we had other examples. Then we went through this. Remember that? And then we did these examples, and we had quite a few examples here. I didn't go over them all, but I might just see if I can do one or two here. Let's just do this one. I didn't do this in the original lesson, I don't think. Right? Wa khalaqta. Now what's going on here? Right? Khalaqa. Something to do with creation, okay? What does wa khalaq? Okay, so wa khalaqta. That's a word. And then who is attached pronoun. So what does wa khalaqta mean? Wa khalaqta. We didn't do these in the lessons because we didn't have time. What does wa khalaqta mean? Can you remember? Yes, and he created. No, sorry, not and he created. There's a bit of a tricky one. Not uncreated. So if you go back to your, yes, no, and you created, right? Khalaqta, katabta, you wrote. Ja'alta, you made. Khalaqta, you created, right? And you created who is him, he, yeah, which is the who of he. So wa khalaqta, and you created him. Can you see how it's two words in there? Yeah, khalaqta, you created who, him. Min, from. Teen, yeah, clay. Which actually it starts off from here. Qala, he said. We've not done he said yet in this revision. Qala, ana, I am. Khayrun, better. Minhu, from him, than him. Khalaqtani, here we go. Khalaqta, you created. Khalaqta means you created. Ni, me. Yeah. Where did the noon come from? The noon comes here because you're saying me, and you can't add a ya on by itself. If you added a ya, it would become khalaqti. Now khalaqti is not a word. You have to keep the khalaqta, because khalaqta means you created. So the noon comes to protect the ta, the fatha of the ta. So it's called a noon of protection, because it's protecting the fatha. It's allowing this ta to keep its fatha. If that noon didn't come, it would be khalaqti, and that changes the meaning, right? So khalaqta has to stay there. So because this ya, what it does, it basically makes the kasra come on the previous letter. So a noon has come. So the noon is taking the kasra, and it's protecting the fatha of the ta. Right. So right. So Khalaqta, you created me. Min from narin, from fire. Wa khalaqtahu, and you created him min teen, right? I didn't do that example, but I think that's a good one to show you that, look, the attached pronoun even comes onto the verb and it forms part of the word. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to explain, another thing I wanted to explain just before I move on. I'm going to reverse all the way to the table. We covered a lot in this lesson, right? Here, look at this. Past verbs, right? On past verbs, an attachment comes at the end of the word. Apart from the root word, right? The root word is the root word. This is the root word. But all other combinations, the attachment comes at the end, a suffix, right? An attachment is coming at the end. That's how you can tell very quickly that the verb is past tense, because the word is starting from its original root letter, ga. So something's attaching on the end. That's how you can tell a word is feminine. A verb is past tense. When it comes to present tense land, we'll see that an additional letter comes at the start, attaches to the start of the word. That's how you can tell quickly that the verb is present tense, right? So past tense, the attachment comes at the end of the word. Present tense, the attachment comes before, attaches onto the start of the word. 20 minutes left. So we just done all that. We've done that, done that. Just this one again. Look, sami'a. Sami'a means he heard. And Allahu. So who's doing the hearing? So sami'a, you see a verb, then you want to see who's doing the verb. So look for the marfu word coming after it. And the marfu word doesn't necessarily have to be straight after it. The marfu word can come a few words down. Prefix, present tense, suffix, past tense. That's good. Yeah. Prefix, present tense, suffix, past tense. Good. Right. So sami'a, he heard. Who did the hearing? Allah heard, because Allah is marfu, so Allah is doing the verb. In the bottom verse, the ta came before the who. Yeah, so in the previous, over here, it's really khalaqta, right? Khalaqta is one word. Khalaqta means you created. It's kataba, katabu, it's in that table. Yeah. Look for second person, masculine. Khalaqta, you created. And then the who is an attachment that means him. Right? Why can't you say Allah heard him? Yeah, well, Allah heard. The him, there's no him in here. Sami'a means he heard. And that he is referring to Allah, because Allah is the doer of the verb. So Allah, he heard, right? Allah heard. Yeah. And then the him might be something, him have to be a separate word somewhere or something else happening. But Sami'a means he heard, and Allah is the one. So Allah, he heard, right? So Allah heard. Okay. It's 15 minutes left, I think. 20 minutes left. So lesson 7. That was like that previous lesson was long. So I hope you understood that. You have to learn the table and you have to learn that the doer is marfu. Okay, so lesson 7. Verbs. So we talked about Arabic having 2 types of verbs. One is regular and the other one is irregular or weak, right? It's called it irregular because the book called it irregular, right? But weak as well. Weak verb, irregular verb, same thing. So how can you tell if a verb is weak or a verb is irregular? How can you tell? So you can tell if any one of the root letters is either an alif, a waw, or a ya. So here we see wajada has a waw there, okay? Kana has an alif, right, in the root word, and qala has an alif in the root word. But really, qa is qaf waw lam, right? And it's kaf waw noon. Anyway, don't worry about that, right? You see an alif there, and you see an alif there, right? You see a waw there. So a word that has either an alif or a waw or a ya in its root words is weak, irregular. And also the other way to tell is if the second and the third root letters are the same. So this one is really dad, lam, and lam again. The reason why you see a one lam there is because there's a shad there. That shad basically means lam twice. Right, so this is put a shad there and put one lam there, but it's really dad, lam, lam. Dalla, you know, dalin, yeah, it's that verb from there. How often do weak root words occur? So they do occur, they don't occur a lot, meaning there's not many root words compared to, sorry, there's not many weak verbs compared to regular verbs, but they are. Then, for example, qala, kana, wajada, dalla, they do come in the Quran. But yeah, there's not that many compared to the regular ones. Yeah, right. And everything else is regular. Ja'ala is regular because there's no alif waw ya. No alif waw ya there. No alif waw ya there. And the second and third letter are not the same. So these are regular verbs. And then we talked about the problem. What problem? Okay, so why do we need to know irregular? Because irregular verbs don't sit into the general table that you just learned, yeah? That table is a general table, and you can put khalaqa in there, you can put raja'a in there, you can put sami'a in there, you can put fa'ala in there, you can put kafara in there, you can put all regular three-lettered root words. You can just put them in and leave the ending the same, and you'll just be able to conjugate all those words. It's that easy. You just put khalaqa in there. So khalaqa, kafara, zalama, katabu, fasaqu, ja'alu, khalaqu. They sit in the regular verbs, sitting nice and easy, and you can just populate. You know, if I say populate this table with raja'a, you'll be able to do it. Raja'a, raja'a, raja'u, raja'at, raja'ata, raja'na, raja'ta, raja'tuma, raja'tum, raja'ti, raja'tuma, raja'tunna, raja'tu, raja'na, raja'na. Raja'a means to return. So you just conjugated raja'a for all of them. He returned, they both returned, they all returned, right? You can do that with regular verbs. No problem, dead easy. An irregular verb, you're going to have some problem fitting it into this table. It has to fit in the table because this is the past tense verb table. So you can't get around it. It's got to fit into this, but you're going to have some problems somewhere along the line. You're going to have to make some slight adjustments somewhere along the line. Once you've made that adjustment, then it's easier, right? So that's what an irregular verb does. It doesn't fit. Yeah, you might get some irregular verbs that fit exactly as well, but many times, you know, irregular verbs that don't fit in the table, like you have a problem putting it in. The endings are going to stay the same because it's the past tense verb table. You can't start changing endings, right? But there is some adjustments you have to make. So basically, qala, we put qala in. Qala, qala, qalu. So far, it's working. Everything fits. Qalat, qalata. Here we struggle. Qalana, what's going to be? What's it going to be? So you have to make an adjustment to the word. So for qala, you have to put a dhamma on the first letter. Yes, good. You put a sukoon on the second one, and you leave the ending of the na. So qulna. See, can you see it's changed? Look, the rest don't start off with a dhamma. It's only this one starts off with a dhamma so far. But this is the adjustment you have to make for qala in the past tense. Once you've made that adjustment, the rest all follow. Qulta, qultuma, qultum, qulti, qultuma, qultunna, qultu, qulna, qulna. Right? So the endings are all the same, but it was struggling qalana, right? And then qalata, qalatuma, qalatum. Yeah, it's not like that. That's an adjustment you had to make because the verb is weak. The verb is irregular, so you can have some sort of issue putting it into this table, but once you figured it out, once you know what's going on, it's done, right? So that's what an irregular verb is. The reason why the book chose qala to show you the table for qala is because qala comes in the Quran a lot. So the book also covered the word kana. So let's just do kana, 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 kanu, kanat, kanata, kanana. What is it going to be? Kanana, struggling, right? It's going to be kunna. You have to keep the noon because the noon is part of the template. You can't change that. But because there's already a noon with it, right? You join them both together. So it becomes kunna, and you put a dhamma on the kaf as well. Very similar to qala, right? And then once you've got that, kunta, kuntuma, kuntum, the rest of it follows, right? So an irregular verb is a verb that contains alif, waw, or ya, and it is irregular because it gives you a problem. It can give you a problem when putting it into the past tense verb table that we've done, because something's just not going to fit right. You're going to have a problem saying it, and then you realize an adjustment has to be made. Once the adjustment is made, you can figure all of it out yourself. Does every weak verb have its own adjustment? Many do, yes, they have their own adjustment. If there's an adjustment made, it has its own, but you can see for qala and kana, because they're very similar, the middle letter is alif, you can see they're very similar. You just put a dhamma on the front and the rest is all done. Yeah, you have a difference here with kana, it becomes kunna, while the other one was qulna, right? So there's a slight adjustment for slight difference between qala and kana, but can you see an adjustment had to be made, so it gives us an issue, it gives us a problem, we have a problem, and that's what it is. You just have to make some adjustment, and then the rest is fine. The endings stay the same because you can't change the endings, because the endings change the meaning. Okay, so we covered that. And we did this, and we're on the last lesson with 10 minutes left, right? Right, last lesson. So last lesson, what we did here is we talked about the present tense. Present tense, we did these examples here. You look, present tense, you stick in a prefix on the start. Look, alima, yeah, that's the root word. Alima is the root word, to know, right? So he knew. In the sentence, it's third person, he knew. Look, ya'lamu, you bought something and put it onto the start, so that shows you it's present tense. And ya'lamuna, okay, you put some ending on there, but it's still got the prefix on it. So it's got a prefix on it, so it's present tense. So these were examples, and I gave you these examples, and I said, what's going on here? What's the difference? Look at the third letter. The third letter is has a different vowel in each case. So everything else is the same. The first letter, the ya, has a fatha, all of them. The second letter has a sukoon, so I just didn't put anything there, sukoon. The last letter has a dhamma, but the third letter has a kasra here, has a fatha here, has a dhamma there. So what's going on? Why? And obviously that continues into all the conjugations of that verb. Once you know what this vowel is, it keeps with all the different combinations. So how do you work out what the vowel is? You can't work it out. You don't know. There's no formula. You just have to learn it with the present, with the past tense. So you learn the verb kataba like this: kataba yaktubu, ja'ala yaj'alu, raja'a yarji'u. It's different for each verb. But another verb, it'd be different. So you have to learn the present with the past in order to get the vowel for that verb. right, as explained in more detail last time. This is the present tense table. You can see they've all got prefixes on. All got prefixes on. Yes, the plurals and duals have got some ending, and there's a bit of a tricky table. Even this one has an ending, right? And I said, you know what, maybe this one, maybe most important, if you want to drop any duals and drop any feminine, do it on this one, right? If you're struggling, just drop all the duals. And we said the similarities, look, ani is there, ani, remember? Ani the marfu, muslimani, look, ani dual, ani dual, ani dual, ani dual. They all got the ani ending, right? And the main thing we mentioned here is third person masculine is exactly the same as second person masculine. The only thing is second person starts off with da, third person starts off with ya. And what I said about this one is aktubu means I write, I, and the alif looks like an I, right? I do it. So think about it, that the alif, also you can think that alif is the first letter of the alphabet, so it's close to me, it's right me. And just look at the masculine, forget the feminine. Don't worry about the feminine at the moment. Just the masculine, look at the masculine. Da comes close to the start of the Arabic alphabet, yeah? It's the next one. So the da is second person, it's close to you. And then ya comes right at the end, so ya is further away, right? So that's the way I sort of mentioned, a way to remember it. How come the third person female? Yeah, the female ones are just exceptions. So somebody's saying, how come the third person female is ya and not da? Third person female is ya and not da. This one here, how come the third person female is ya and not da? Yeah, this one here. Yeah, so this is, it just is, meaning this also carries that same rule. Look, second person starts off with da, third person starts off with ya. Second person starts off with da, third person starts off with ya. So it actually holds the rule that we've just been doing. Second person starts off with da, third person starts off with ya. The rest of the word is the same. Yeah, I know it gets here tricky here. Look, this one's third person, that it just is. That's just the pattern. So yeah, if you're struggling, drop the feminines and drop the duals on this one. Right, 5 minutes left. I think, oh yeah, this is another picture. And that's another picture just to show you the ones that are most important. Now, I've grayed out all the feminines and I've grayed out all the duals. You're just left with 6. Right, and that's what the short course is, the sort of simplified course. It's just going to show you 6 here. That's it. Right, but obviously it'll give you the most, but still, you know, it won't give you everything. Right, if you want to do everything properly, then it'll be the whole thing. Right, and then we did examples, and I've got 5 minutes to, and I didn't even bother putting, for these examples, I didn't even put any duals, and I put no feminines, because all I wanted to get through to you was that is second person, and ya is third person. That's what I wanted to get through, so I just kept concentrating on that. And obviously, if you want more information, go back to the actual lesson recording. And lastly, 4 minutes left. Alhamdulillah. 4 minutes left. Maybe give you some good news right at the end, which was that the future tense, you've pretty much done the table for future tense. The future tense table is exactly the same as the present tense table, exactly the same. So that table you did there was present tense and future tense. So the question is, how can you tell the difference? So the difference is this. A future tense, you will use the present tense verb, but the context of the sentence is going to tell you that it's future. So yajma'ukum means he gathers you all, right? Literally, just outside of the Quran. Yajma'ukum means he gathers you all, right? But look at the sentence. Then he gathers you all on the day of judgment, right? So it's talking about the day of judgment. So that present tense verb now has become future tense, because the sentence is telling you itself, because the sentence is a future tense sentence. Like, for example, I say, I walk to the shop. That's fine. That's present tense, walk. But tomorrow, if I say, tomorrow I walk to the shop, Now it's not going to translate because I'm talking about tomorrow now. So it's going to be tomorrow I will walk to the shop, right? So the one way to tell a future verb is when the present tense verb is used, but the sentence is talking about the future. So you know you're going to say will. You're going to say will gather now. You're not going to say he gathers. You're going to say he will gather, right? So that's the first way. The second way to tell if a verb is future is when sofa comes in front of a present tense verb. So sofa means soon, and ta'lamun, you all know. So it means you will all know. Sofa, I think, translates as soon in the Quran, I think, right? So you shall all know. So sofa coming in front of a present tense verb makes it into future tense. Ta'lamuna by itself means you all know. Sofa ta'lamun, you will all know. You shall know. So sofa is the second way to tell if a verb is, future. And the last way to tell that I know of, I mean, there might be more, but this is the three that the book mentions, and the three that I know, is when, imagine the sa of sofa attaches onto the yaj'alu. So when sofa is also used in its shortened form, sa. So when sa attaches onto a present tense verb, it becomes future. So you've got sa yaj'alu. So yaj'alu means he makes, literally. But sa yaj'alu means he will make. Who will make? Allah. Allah will make, right? So that's the three ways. Either the context of the sentence is telling you that that verb is future, or sofa comes in front of the present tense verb, or sa is joined, prefixed onto the present tense verb. So that's your future tense done. Future tense is the same as present tense, but you have those three different things happening to make it into future tense. Forgot what I was going to say. Okay. So this is just the verse with that context, with that verse showing you, Yajma'ukum is talking about future. And that was what I was going to say is, as far as I remember now, I think I get the right way around. Sofa is talking about further into the future, and sa is talking about closer into the future, like in the near future and in the far future, right? Easy way to remember it, sofa is longer. So it's longer future, in the distant future. Sa is shorter, so it's in the close future. Yeah, closer in the future, and further in the future is sofa, right? That's it. So that was the end of that. We went through some verses, I think, and we've hit 9:30, so that's time to go. And we are up to date. We're up to date now, so we will inshallah on Thursday we will continue from lesson 9, and there's only 3 more lessons, 9, 10, 11, and then we have a talk on khushu, the importance of khushu in salah, and we go through the word-to-word meaning of the salah, hoping that we can apply what we've learned in this course to better our salah for Ramadan and beyond. Inshallah. So I hope that was beneficial. I hope people benefited. It's just a sort of chance for people to revise. Could we go through the we run out of time to go through the verses. Right, so yes, that's all for today, and I will see you inshallah in 2 days. So we'll meet in 2 days, inshallah. Can we have another revision class? The same one? If you want to do the same one again, this is recorded. So you can listen to the recording. And if you have any questions, yeah, just feel free to ask. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.